What's good? What's good in the hood? How's everybody doing? Shout out to the fathers. What's up? Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Y'all need to just kick it if you want to kick it. Lay up on the couch, chill out in the garage, go out, paint the town, whatever color you want to paint it. Just don't keep it tainted. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, what's up, man? I don't know how long we'll be on here, but I'm gonna try to be on as long enough where I can kind of put something out there to those fathers who've been fathers for a while, and those fathers who are getting ready to become fathers, and those fathers who just had some babies come into their life, man. Just all by my personal experience and knowledge. All right. So with that being said, you know what it is. You rocking with the best thoughts of the week. Let's get it. You know what this is. You're listening to Thoughts of the Week. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Thoughts of the Week podcast. And today we're going to talk about, Father's Day, man. Right? I'm just going to give y'all some advice, man. Anything that comes up from the top of the head. All right. Personal experience. You know what I'm saying? And hope this will help some of you guys out, man. All right. Young, old, soon to be dads, new dads who already been dads for a long time. This one's for y'all. What's popping? All right. So, yeah, first thing that kind of comes to my mind right this second in regards to that, for your new dads, and it's crazy because a lot of thoughts are coming to me right now. It's crazy. So I hope I can get them all out before they disappear, before I forget something. But yeah, so some of you guys are getting ready to be dads, the lady's pregnant and all stuff like that. It might be a few months out. And one of the bits of advice I want to give y'all is to pay attention closely to your children, whether it's just going to be that 1, 2, 3, or how many you ever have. When they're young, pay close attention to how they behave, how they act, the things that they do, because I say that because you never know what they're telling you, not by verbally telling you directly, but indirectly through their actions. They're going to show you the type of things that they're into. All right. Hopefully, if it's some good, you can kind of harness that as they become older and get older and older. So for like instance, you might have a child that you start noticing at an early age, maybe 1, 2 years old, might be younger than that they have a thing for just out the blue, nothing that they seen you do or whatever. They just start painting on stuff, or they'll start grabbing something and looks like they just writing on the ground or writing on the wall, or they're out in the sidewalk and it looks like they're taking something and it looks like they're trying to write something on the on the ground or something like that. You might have an artist. All right. You just might have an artist, and that artist could turn into an architect, making plans for large skyscrapers. You just never know. So you want to kind of encourage that more. Now they might write on a wall, or you might see them getting ready to write on a wall. And unfortunately, like back in the days, even probably before even I was born, you might have some parents that looked at that and discouraged it without, they're just thinking they're trying to correct the child through behavior, but they didn't realize that they just discourage their child from something that they could be great in. So they'll scold them and tell them, oh, you ain't supposed to do that, but they never show them an alternative or give them an alternative. Some parents might catch on to that and say, you know, they might be writing on the wall at 1 or 2 years old. And so you might want to redirect them by giving them big pieces of paper and say, well, hey, instead of writing on the wall here, write on this. Or you can give them some chalk and go right outside and say, hey, write on the ground. Let me see what you can draw, and encourage that, as opposed to just scolding them because of that particular act of writing, taking a crayon and writing on the wall, or they getting ready to, and you just happen to catch them before they do it. You know, encourage them with a different alternative. All right. Encourage them with a different alternative. So that's that. I'm going to kind of go through these things quick as they come to me in my thoughts. I didn't even write anything down. And I was going to start writing my thoughts down as I'm talking. But what I'm going to do is just try to, as they come to me, say them real quick, try to get a quick example, and then go on to the next thought so I don't lose that next thought. All right. Because I just think these valuable things to let you guys know, fellas. And, you know, the same thing you could tell your ladies, too. You know, if things don't work out with you and the lady, but you might have a good relationship, you might want to tell that lady, hey, look, if your son or daughter is doing this, can you encourage them to, you know, if they're, you know, give the same example. If they're writing somewhere and you don't like it, you get upset. Can you just encourage them, give them a piece of paper, or buy a coloring book, or buy a blank notebook where they can just doodle and draw inside the book? Because you, like I said, you never know what you might have on your hands, right? So here's another example towards that. You might have a child that's very active and runs around a lot. Some people might get frustrated because of that, but you might have an athlete on your hands. You might have a track runner, a javelin thrower, some type of athlete, and you'll discourage that just because you'll be upset of the running around, instead of thinking to yourself, all right, let me figure out a way to continue encouraging the child to run around. And if they're just doing something that's just out of the way, find something that they can continue their athletic activities. All right. You might have a child that likes animals. And every time you see them, they see an animal. I don't care if it's a worm, a frog, a dog, a cat, and they always seem drawn to it and never want to do anything harmful. You might have a veterinarian. You might have I don't know if they have those. I guess that's part of the veterinarian era, where you might have those veterinarians that can perform surgeries. You might have a scientist in some way, form, or fashion. All right. So pay attention to your kids at an early age, and they'll be telling you what they're into without verbally expressing it. Now, they might be into that for a while and it might change up. So that's another reason for you guys to pay attention to your children, because they might switch up later on down the road. 1 or 2 years old, they're into one thing, and then they get older, they might be into something else, or you might find they're still into the same things they were 3 or 4 years later. And so you can harness that. All right. You can harness that. All right. So that's on that. I had another thought in my head, but I lost it. So I'm going to go on to something else. Fathers, you definitely want to learn, because I talked about in one of the other episodes on I spoke about keep learning. So you definitely want to keep learning different things so that you can teach your children different things. All right. You might want to read a little bit on Black history. And I was going to speak on reading, but I may or may not down the road. But I definitely talked about keep learning. And so you definitely want to try to learn as much as you can so you can pass on that knowledge to your children. And you want to give them as much knowledge as they can, as much knowledge as they can take at an early age. And a lot of times they're going to be inquisitive and ask questions about things. and you might have answers for them. Or even if you don't, you can always find out and come back to them later with those answers. So they can always look to you as somebody that's, hey, my dad was intelligent, or my dad is smart. He be knowing this, he know that, he be doing this. I didn't even know he knew how to do that. All right. So definitely learn as much as you can and then pass it on to your children. Now, another part of that would be, here's one thing I've noticed with Black folks, Black families in general, is seems to be a lack in knowledge when it comes to money, economics, finances, and things that revolve around that. So the way things are going on now, I mean, it's so easy to invest now with the Robinhood app. And even if, there's been a lot of issues, people talking about the Robinhood app is not all it cracked up to be, but it's a start that you can get your children on. And of course, there's other apps out there, Webull, Stacks, I think it's called. You got Acorn and probably a host of others. And those are one of the things that maybe you can learn and then you can teach your children. All right. That's one aspect of it. So, because it seems like we're always the ones in last place when it comes to finances. We're always being taught school this, school that, education. But there's so many ways to, quote unquote, get educated, I would say, because that education word or educated is kind of tricky depending on how you look at it, because you can get educated from what, quote unquote, they want you to know, and you can educate yourself, which I call it just getting more information and being more knowledgeable about things. Nowadays, I'm kind of having an issue with that word, educate or get educated. I like the words, and I mean, you could choose what you want. That's on you. But I think there's a lot of play with that. I like to say information, as I always remember Dick Gregory always saying, information is power. And when you got good information, you have good power. And when you have bad information, you have bad power. So, and then other people say information is not that information is power, is when you apply that information is when you have power. And I think I even said, there's a quote I even started using a while back, that something along the lines of information is power, but when you use that information, you become powerful. All right. So I think that's the quote I think I said. I haven't heard anybody say that. I came up with that myself. Information is power, but when you use that information, you become powerful. All right. So when it comes to money, finances, and that, I think that's needs to be more taught in the Black collective family, amongst the children, amongst the adults, because we get caught up in putting everybody in this education bag, and we still tied up into going to colleges. And that in and of itself is cool, but I've seen or heard or, read about millionaires who became millionaires and billionaires and didn't even finish college or didn't even start college. Some have graduated just from high school. Some have not even finished high school, and some people become millionaires and billionaires. That's not to say to cut it off altogether, but things are changing, and so that needs to be taken into kept in mind as well. All right, so that's keep that in mind, man. Let that be think about the financial aspect. That seems to be lacking, I'm noticing, in the Black community. And then when it comes to technology and things of evolving or revolving around that, we don't seem to know much about that as well. We know it, but we always seem to come in last behind everybody else and starting to use it. So fathers, definitely you need to keep up and learn as much as you can and keep up with things that are going on, because it's very beneficial for yourself, the knowledge you get for yourself, and then you can pass the information on. Now, I give you another thing comes to mind. Like I said, I'm gonna be trying to do these things as they come, so I can give a lot of value to you guys and information out. I recall talking to family members about how you have the people in white folks. You could say Jewish as well. They're privy to knowledge about starting businesses, money, how to manage their money. And then we're always looking and seeing a lot of entertainment. And I mean, you could just turn on the videos and TVs. Not that people watch. I don't think people watch too much TV unless it's like watching YouTube on TV or some other app or whatever. Not the old TV as we knew it, the NBCs and the ABCs. That's probably once in the blue moon. But in family discussions, they'll be talking about things related to money and teaching them. And you have very few of us teaching us, showing our family members about that. All right. It was so much that came to my mind. So now I'm trying to bring it all back up again, different thoughts. So that's that on knowledge. That's one aspect anyway, financial, money, for sure. Another thing to look at is on the business tip. Nowadays, I'm sure you're hearing it all. A lot of people are not wanting to work. They wanting to leave and do everything from home instead of going to an actual building. There's a lot of people who are considering, starting their own businesses now. A lot of people are feeling like they can do it more. And we are in the era where you can start it a lot easier, a lot quicker, with a lot less money, and test things out and see how they go. And so I encourage you fathers to encourage your children. And that goes back to watching what they're doing, because you can see some of them might have a knack for entrepreneurship, or if they you wait to older years, like maybe not 1 and 2 years old, maybe at 10 years old, you might introduce them into investing on an app. You might introduce them into car rental, because you can now have your own car rentals company using apps. I think Turo is one, and there might be 1 or 2 others that I know is another one. I just forget the name of it. That you can start your own car rental business. And there's so many ways, like I said, nowadays that you can make money. There's this thing with the tiny houses, building the tiny houses now, and you can build it for yourself. That's one, and that's another thing in itself that you can even give to your children. You could build a tiny house, and when they come 18, they can live there and everything is paid for, or you can rent it out, or teach your kids how to rent out that tiny house or Airbnb it. And by the time, your kids might become 18 or so, it might be something else outside of Airbnb. It might be other apps that are related to that. All right. So definitely entrepreneurship has got to be on that list of teaching, because if they want to work for somebody or a company, that's cool, but you want to encourage them to have something for themselves in case things don't work out, or they just get tired of, working where they're working. And so they have something else going on the side that they can depend on, where if one income is out, and I'm going to speak on that a lot more in another episode coming up in regards to that topic. But I'm just going to touch on that a little bit today, that you could teach your kids on that. All right. Now, here's another thought, because like I said, I'm trying to not let these thoughts go. Another thing is, and I think this is more with women compared to men, but I'm saying it to the men because you could probably pass it on to you got your own sisters, moms, aunts, female cousins, or the woman you might be married to, or the woman you dating, is be careful about your fears and what you put your fears on your children. That's a dangerous one, because you can definitely stunt your kids' life experience because of your own fears. All right. So for an instance, there's something real simple. you or your sister, if you have a sister, or your mom or your grandma or your aunt or any of your female cousins, or, if you're married, your wife, or your girlfriend, they might have fear of dogs. All right. And your child might be playing with a dog or getting ready to play with one. It could be a puppy, probably not even dangerous at that point. But any of these ladies that I just spoke of, whether it's relatives, wife, cousin, whatever, girlfriend, they can put their fears, or you fellas, that, it could be you dads. You might have a fear of dogs, dogs, let's say dogs. You can put that fear on them based on your reactions to how they respond to animals or to dogs. And you don't want to, you're putting limits on your kids if you do that. So anything, it could be a fear over money. It could be fear about money. It could be fear about speaking in public, whatever fears it might be, or you're nervous about. Try not to, and speak to the ladies in your life. Try to let them know not to put their fears on your children, because then they'll grow up at an early age having a fear of dogs because of mommy or daddy or my aunt or my cousin was acting crazy the moment I was getting ready to pet this puppy. Leave that dog alone. And then you constantly do that over and over and over and over and over. You're going to put that into your child, and then they grow up with the same nonsense that you grow up with. So try to keep that from happening. I'm going to give you a story about me. I started walking. My mom told me I started walking at 8 months old. All right. True story. Before I even turned 1 year old, I already started walking. So apparently I must have been paying attention and watching how's everybody doing this. And then my brain must have been picking up like, yo, I guess they're doing this and doing that. So I started. So I guess one day I got up and just started taking a step, seen everybody else do it. And so my mom told me she might have been cooking or washing something. And all of a sudden she seen me walk, and she turned around and she was getting ready to scream because it would have been a shock. That's a shock to a new mom, maybe to a new mother. Like you're used to, like, well, your child's probably going to walk around 1, 2 years old. You're not expecting like, hey, you just had the child, and about 7, 8 months later, your child's getting up and starting to walk. And so she turned around and seen me taking steps. She was getting ready to scream because, all of a sudden I scared her because she didn't think nobody was going to walk behind her. But she caught herself and was praising me for it. So that would encourage me to continue walking more. So that's a pure example. Had she started screaming because it was already, you can be scared, like somebody just snuck up on you, like the play with you to get you scared so they can have a laugh. I think it was kind of those situations where she wasn't expecting me to just get up and start walking. And then she turned around and it shocked her and scared her. She would have got ready. She was getting ready to scream, but she caught herself real quick and didn't do that so that I wouldn't be scared about walking. Because then I would have been fearful. If I would have heard my mom screaming, I probably would have dropped back down to the floor. And then just that would have gotten to my psyche. And I probably would have been crawling for a while, 2 or 3 more years before I start walking. So that's what I mean about don't put your fears. And that's just examples I'm giving you. That was a real story. But the other examples about that dogs or money or whatever it is that you're fearful of, if it's birds, snakes, I can understand the snakes and certain things like that. And your kids may not be. You don't want to put your fears on them. All right. I think that's unfair to do. You don't want to put your fears on your children. All right. So keep that in mind. So let me see what else. I'm trying to think of some things. I should have wrote some like one word stuff so I can but I wanted to give it an organic look to it. So even if I wrote something down, it'd still be organic because I know where to draw from. But I just kind of wanted to do it freestyle. And so I'm right now just thinking as like when my kids were growing up. You definitely want to show your kids that you got their back and you'll protect them from things. Now I'm thinking like elementary school, middle school. And so I remember a few incidents. There was one incident where a teacher in one of the elementary schools had accused my daughter of stealing a book. And then I had to come up there and I was confronting the teacher, asking the teacher some questions and really getting down to the bottom of things so I can make sure that if she was doing that, or is the teacher, one of these teachers that's, out to get a black child. And so I remember questioning this teacher and some serious detailed questions. And what ended up happening, and this is for your fathers, I know this is something that you might end up going through. I was talking to her very articulately and with very detailed questions. And what she ended up saying at the end is she felt intimidated. I felt intimidated. Now, I hate to even go there because I don't want to tell you what profession I was in at one time. So I'm going to try to speak around it. Not that it's no embarrassment or nothing like that, but I'll try to go around it. Maybe one day I said it once before in one of the episodes. If you guys ever catch it, you have to see what episode. I kind of spoke on what my profession is or was at the time. I'm retired now. But so like I said, I confronted the teacher, asked her some detailed questions. And then when it's all said and done, she told me she was intimidated. And I said, why are you intimidated? Because I was speaking articulately. I didn't go off. You expected a black man to just start cussing you out and acting crazy. But you didn't know I could speak so eloquently and ask detailed questions like I have. And you hadn't answered any of these questions. And the answers you gave, I'm drawing a conclusion that you lying about my daughter. So I have 2 grown daughters now. So, but at that time when it was in elementary school, I guess he couldn't handle seeing a black man like, wow, he didn't go off on her, but I still was stern, and I didn't whisper or talk soft or whatever, spoke sternly. And so the bottom line turned out to that is that she didn't say she couldn't answer the questions. She quote unquote felt intimidated. It was a white librarian. I guess he's a teacher as well. And so I guess he couldn't handle that a black man can speak with such authority and not be intimidated by somebody white or a white woman. And she couldn't handle it. And it wasn't me cussing her out or anything like that, but I knew how to ask certain questions and because of my profession. And so she had to call, I guess, somebody, you could say they were my boss to some degree or supervisor, and I had to let the supervisor was a black person, and he seemed to be kind of on their side, if you know what I mean, for being black. And I had to let him know, like, yo, I came up there, asked that. I felt that it's more of a targeting thing. I asked the questions I asked. She couldn't answer them. And she started saying, well, I don't know, and things like that. Well, if you don't know, how you accusing my child? Right. And so it just ended up boiling down to turn into nothing. So my daughter, nobody, messed with her again as far as accusing her of stuff. But I had to also check my daughter and make sure she's not lying to me, which comes to another thing right now, because I'm gonna go into another story with my other daughter. Some wild stuff, not wild in a bad way, but right now what this comes to mind is this: make sure that you can have open communications with your children and open honesty with your kids, and let them know that they can come to you with honesty even if they done something wrong. All right. A lot of times there's a tendency, and I think sometimes it might stem from slavery, and then certain slavery mindsets get passed from one parent to the next parent, to the next parent. Like you can have a grandma and your grandma pass something on to your mom and dad, and then your mom and dad pass something on to you, and that stemmed all the way back from some slavery mindset. So, and then there's a tendency to like scold the child and this and that, and you will keep them from having open communication with them. So I always used to tell my kids, even when I got a divorce years ago, nothing recently, when they was still children, and I always let them know that they still can come to me regardless of what it is. If they did something bad, they still can tell me what they did. And I even explained to them why that was. I said, because if you tell me the truth still, if there's something I can help you get out of because of you telling me the truth, I could find a loophole somewhere and get you out of a bad situation. And so that's the reason why I always let my kids know, whether they did it or not, or whether they did it a few times and other times they might have been nervous because in their mind they might have felt something is so bad that they think I just won't communicate with them. I would even let them know that, like, look, no matter what it is, and stress, you might have to tell them 4, 5, 6 times, even as they get older. Let them know that no matter what it is, you could tell me and explain to them why. Like, hey, because if you tell me the truth and I need to find out of some way to get you out of it, at least I know what's going on. So when I talk to whoever I got to talk to help you get out of the situation, then I can get you out of it. But that's only if you tell me the truth, so I can get all the information and the facts. And you make sure when they do come to you and tell you the truth, that even if you might feel like you're going to get mad or get upset, try to keep your composure and explain to them in a calm manner, hey, I'm disappointed about this. I still love you. Let them know that at all times. But hey, this, and this, and maybe next time do this. Talk in a calm way. Don't go off, because then the next time they ain't gonna tell you nothing. And so you definitely want to keep that communication open, and you definitely want to let them know that they can come to you for anything, with anything. All right. So learn to keep your emotions in check from going off, so you can get them, so they can tell you all the information. And even if you still are upset, just let them know why you upset in a calm manner, where they went wrong and how they can correct it. Show them how to do it, because at the same time they're looking at it, they're saying, oh, my dad even showing me how to fix this problem, so I don't have to do that no more, even though he was upset. And then that keeps that communication open with you, girls or boys, both, if you keep that going on with them. All right. Here's this other story with my other daughter, the younger one. That first one was my oldest daughter in elementary school, I think it was, or middle, somewhere around that, like that. The other one was with high school. Apparently some white boys was doing those, she said they was doing spitballs or throwing something to them, and I had to go to that school and confront the principal. Never got a chance to confront the principal. I don't know what it was. I don't know if the dude was hiding, he was scared or what. And so you had all these assistant principals, and I'm confronting them like, yo, I need to talk to such and such, an issue with my kid, my daughter, and they want to know what's happening and blah, 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 blah. And then they try to make excuses. Well, maybe they were just playing. Like, nah, you don't play like that with my daughter. You don't throw spitballs in her hair and to this and that, and I'm not going for it. And gotta let your kids know that you got their back. You got let them know anybody's messing with them, you're gonna protect them, and so on and so forth. So and show that when it's time to show and prove, you got to show and prove that. All right. And so I did just that. I'm not gonna go into a deep story, what it boiled down to in the end, and when it came down and finished, of course, everybody there is white. And here you go, a black man again, who can show his authority, show that he ain't scared of nobody. And like I said again, part of what I used to do, I guess, came into play too. So, but they still didn't care about that, and so it was kind of back and forth. And what it boiled down to is I said enough to the ones who are in charge that I'm sure the message got back to those white boys who was messing with them, and even though I never got a chance to talk to the principal. I may or may not. I don't remember ever talking to him, because I think they might have been covering up for him, or he might have been somewhere or whatever. But the message got out. I'm almost positive that it did, because I said things loud enough at times, and other kids will walk by, and then you had other adults. And then here's a classic thing, fellas. What these folks will try to get you to do, they try to, hey, have a seat. I'm like, nah, I don't want to sit. I don't want to sit down. I'm upset and I'm standing up. I don't want to sit down. I'm not calming down. But I didn't go off and go crazy like I'm about to break some windows and break their face and all that. It was a female assistant principal. And there might have been, I don't think there's any male. If there were, there might have been one other, but he didn't seem like he wanted to fool with me too tough. He came in to kind of poke his nose in to find out what's going on, and he kind of walked off and left, stared and walked off and left after a while. And so I just stuck with this white lady, and I had to let her know what time it was, and that, I'm not leaving nowhere until I see dude. We got to handle this. And I may have spoken to him quickly. I don't remember. I kind of feel like I did, but I don't remember 100% sure. But either way, the bottom line is the message, I'm sure, got back to them boys, and it was never an issue. My daughter ain't come back to me again telling me that there was some problem with any of them white boys or anybody, period. So definitely let them know you got their back at all times. Even as grown adults, you got their back and you're protecting them. Make sure you maintain communications. Let them know that they can talk to you, and keep letting them know, and keep explaining to them, no matter what, you can talk to me, even if they don't, because a lot of times kids at certain ages will stop for whatever reasons. Teens will, and as they get older, they won't. And sometimes they will with certain things. I guess when it seems like things are closing in on them, they'll eventually have to open up to somebody, and the message will get back to you one way or the other. And so they'll eventually tell you something if they get boxed in. But sometimes when they try to get out of something without having to tell, they're going to probably not try to tell. All right. But that's what I did with my kids. I established early on, even though I was going to be divorcing their mama, I still let them know that you still can call me. I'll call you. If something is going on, you got an issue at any time of the day or night, no matter what time it is, call me, let me know, tell me whatever it is. I'm not going to get upset. And the reason why is you need to tell me, because I can help you get out of certain situations, and let them know that. And always let them know you love them. And try to not necessarily hide your upsetness, but sometimes your actions can cause a child, like your animatedness, if that's a word, of your reactions to what you hear, can cause a child not to come back and talk to you again. All right. So keep those things in mind. Even as teenagers, you want to continue letting them know. You want to continually direct your children as they get older, continually watch them and the activities they are doing. Like I said, you never know. You might have a genius on your hands. Maybe you didn't see it at 2 or 3. You might catch it at 5 through 7, or you might catch it at 10 through 14. Pay attention to your kids and what they get into. Pay attention to your kids and what they are into that might be detrimental to their growth. Whether, we in the social media age and stuff like that. So you got to let them know, again, when you continue letting them know with the communication, and they can tell you about, well, I seen this on Instagram, and it could be a bunch of nonsense, or it might be partial truths. And so because you been where they've been at, or you're a lot knowledgeable about things, you have a lot more experience, you can explain to them what are the good parts or the truthful parts in something they heard or seen on the social media or the internet or video, you could give them the real facts so they would know. Now, here's like for an example, I noticed a lot with a lot of Black history facts. A lot is being suppressed, hidden, not told, truths that again, like I said, being suppressed. And your kid might have heard something from school, or a teacher might have taught something about a certain Black history thing, and they tell you, and when they come home, and you be like, what? That's a lie. The real facts is this. And because you know them, you study them, or on your own, you went and learned more, you can give them the raw facts, the real information. And if they decide to go back to school and say, well, nah, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, the truth is this. And if they, the teachers get mad or get upset because they really your kid is bringing in real facts, you can let them know, like, hey, if your teacher starts getting upset, just tell them, hey, my mom or my dad, or we talking about Father's Day, my dad said, give him a call if you have any issues with what I'm saying. And he said that he will give you all the details and the sources to look these things up. All right. That's another form of letting your kids know you have their back. Okay. So it's very important to pass down wisdom to your children in all areas of life. Need to be real with them with sexual issues, the good, the bad, the ugly, so they'll know. So they don't have to be going around, or if they hear something with friends, you giving them the real, and the friends might be doing, throwing out some fantasy stuff, and you could discuss with your friends if you so choose to know what the real facts are, or you can just listen to them talk crazy, but with your child will know within them what the real truths are with whatever they're hearing from outside in the street. All right. So I'm trying to think of some other things before I get out of here, man. That's all I could think of right now. So I hope this helps you guys out. Fathers who are going to be fathers pretty soon, fathers who just became fathers. You got young kids, several months old, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're just getting started. To those who already have fathers, I'll say as adults too, you still want to maintain and let them know that they can talk to you, because even though they're an adult now, you still have been around and experienced some things, and explain that to them. Hey, you could talk to me because look, you can always talk to them, ask them, what's going on in their lives. And as an adult kids now, I kind of went to the teenage, and then, from 18 on up, they're young adults, and they still need to be 18. The teens in the early 20s, early to mid 20s, maybe there's a lot of things they still don't know that you can school them on and give them knowledge and still help them with things so they can keep on excelling and growing. And even as grown adults, you're talking about 30 and above, you still can give vital advice, because of course you already been at that age. For those who've been that age, for some of you guys who are going to be dads in your 20s or whatever like that, young, take what I'm saying, man, and apply it to your life. All right. You're still going to be older than your kids always. So there's things that you already gone through. You can tell your kids when they get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 18s, because you already been through it. So that's the benefits the children have of their dads. All right. Is the knowledge the dad can pass off. And to all you dads who don't really know much, or you don't have a lot of knowledge, I encourage you. I'm not going to down you or nothing like that. I encourage you to start educating. I use the word educate, informing, getting information on your own. All right. There's lots of websites, free websites that you can go on and learn different stuff. I'll give you one. MasculineMindset.com is a pretty good website. I've been looking at some stuff in there lately. And James Altucher, he's pretty cool. It's a white dude, but one thing I would tell you fathers, and this is like for men in general, get information from different sources. All right. And you can always sort through what's good and what's bad. All right. On certain things, you can, I won't say don't look over, because you don't want to just look over stuff. You want to examine and analyze everything. So get information from everywhere that you can, whether it's from a white person, black person, Asian person, whoever, because you can still do your research and sort out what's garbage and what's true. All right. So don't suppress yourself from information so that you can pass that on to your kids and be wise, and you can pass on wise information and wisdom, wise activity, wise actions, wise behaviors onto your children as well. All right. But start off with masculine. I don't even give you the other website. Start off with masculinemindset.com. It's a pretty cool site. A lot of information on there. All right. I can't think of nothing off the top of any other websites, but I a lot of times I just search through stuff and find out others. But it's maybe down the road I'll talk about other websites in future podcasts, maybe, or other shows. I got several YouTube channels, so you can always check out my other channels where you might catch some information regarding that. All right. So again, happy Father's Day, fellas. Be fathers to your children, man. Be there with information, good information to give them, to guide them, to help them grow and excel even further than you've been. And it's always fun to watch them grow. And that's another thing before I get out of here. It was always fun to watch my kids grow up and how they pick up and learn stuff. Now, I used to teach them, stuff. And when they was in elementary school, I remember math classes and other classes, certain things they couldn't get. And it might be because of the way the school was teaching them. And it might be, it might be on purpose, their curriculums and their plans, how they taught stuff might be purposely done to confuse kids. And I would just show them, because I knew how to do some of the stuff they was, or the stuff they was learning. I just showed them a quicker way how to get it. And after showing them, they got it like that and was able to go on and continue with no more problems. So it's really beneficial that you're there for them, man, when they're young, especially when they're young and when they're old, and as adults as well, because you always been somewhere before they have, and you can have that vital one little piece of information that they had everything else, but they're missing that one little component of information, and you might be the one to have it to supply them, that brings them out and makes them soar even further in their lives. All right. So with that being said, happy Father's Day again, fellas. Relax how you want to relax, kick it how you want to kick it, or I hope you kicked it how you want to kick it. And much success to you in your personal endeavors and your endeavors with family. One more thing. Let me see. One more thing. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave that. I'll leave that because I'm actually going to do an episode on that, what I'm getting ready to say. So I'll speak on it on the next episode. All right. And you can also apply that and add that to your Father's Day toolbox. All right. So with that being said, I appreciate it. Y'all checking this out, man. Share this video, share all the videos that resonate with you to others. Comment, give a thumbs up, because it always helps the channel. You heard from other people as well. It seems like they on that black shadow ban movement and trying to shadow ban any black channel from as much, keeping as much information away from others as they can. And we know what it is. All right. But you can always help us, the Black Collective, the Black Grassroots, Black First FBA, to continue that information and get it out to folks by sharing the videos, by commenting on the videos, by giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's up on you. I ain't getting all bent out of shape. The trolls is out there. Shout out to the trolls on patrol. There's a reason why we don't shut them down. I want you to go out there and keep trolling. There's a reason for all that. All right. But anyway, again, happy Father's Day. Hope this advice has helped you out, man. I was trying to think of more because a lot of stuff was coming to me, but when I'm talking about one, the other one slips me. So maybe another Father's Day again. Maybe some new stuff will come to mind. All right. So with that being said, you rocking with the best as always. Thoughts of the week. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.